Okay. Hello, folks. So today is the 26th. It's the day after Christmas, and Christmas was good. Thank you for asking. Everybody got what they wanted, and everybody did really good. I was skeptical, or I was apprehensive because one of my kids are very close in age, and one of them got a really big present, and I was a little bit like, oof, I hope this is going to be fine. But um, I didn't want to not do it just because um, of that. So I was just like, well, we're just going to see how it goes. And it was fine. Everybody was happy for everybody, and it was good. Even though my middle opened his, the good present, the best present first. And I was like, oh, but it was fine. But I'm kind of annoyed because, I mean, this is kind of like Christmas is like over for me as far as it being a magical time. So I really like have to live vicariously through them. So I'm just kind of like still a little bummed about it, but whatever. He was fine and everybody was fine. It was good. But anyway, so today I'm going to talk about something that I don't know. I guess the Lord brought it up to me and he was like, do that one. That's pretty good. So um, yeah, this is an analogy that I came up with a little while ago because um, I started playing poker. Basically, well, I learned to play and then I started playing. And so this is an analogy that I up with during my poker days when I was like super into it and stuff. Because I was like, wow, this is exactly what it's like. This is what it's like having the Holy Spirit. And what I mean by that is not, you know, whatever people say is the Holy Spirit that makes them scared and not want to discuss it and whatever. I'm talking about what you receive when you become a believer, that Jesus was talking about. That, it's better for me, it's better for you that I go away because then the Spirit of God, who I guess he called him the counselor in that particular passage of scripture, who guides you into all truth. And you kind of go, well, if you have a literal Spirit of God guiding you into all truth, then how come everything is a hot mess? Which is a great question. But, and there's a lot of things, there's actually a pretty good answer for that because you could be guided into all truth, but the key word there is guided. Um, and you would be amazed to know how little bits of tablespoons you need throughout your life. He's not going to like, he can't download you the whole thing. I mean, aside from the fact that you just have like a human body, like it will, like truth, all truth, you have to, you would have to shed your human form. Like we talk about these things and we just kind of go, well, how come this and how come that? And we just kind of like complain about things that are, it's like complaining about like, why can't we just like, why can't we just take off early? Like, why does my plane have to be late? It's like, sis, there's like so many moving parts to this. Like, I know you need to get to your like freaking bestie weekend, but like there's lots of things going on. Like we can't just take off early for your thing. So why can't I just know everything? It's like don't don't do that, first of all. Secondly, it is like custom to your own life and your own threshold and your own ability to um, accept, see, observe, understand. There's things that he's probably told you that just went over your head, or you ignored it, or you just didn't think it was important, so you didn't act on it. It's not always going to be vibes and vibrations, and which I know that because people say it all the time, but it's like not to dismiss, like, well, it's not going to be like guns, rainbows and whatever's all day. It's like there are things in the plain world that are miraculous, that are of God, and we think that they're normal and regular and average, until we get into a situation where those things are gone and then we know exactly, like, oh, this was God, this was God, this was God, this was God, this was God. But when you're constantly like surrounded by it and it's embedded in things and God gives without expecting anything back, because that's his nature and that's how he tells us to be, and you go, oh yeah, no, this is absolutely how things are all the time. Yeah, no, no, no. That's not a big deal. And it's abundant. So yeah, you can be guided into all truth. It doesn't mean that you will become a guru and a wizard. And then that also depends on literally everyone listening to you, which is probably not going to happen. So you could be guided into all truth, you're going to just go insane if you like the way that you're thinking. You're going to have to shed your mortal body, and then you're going to be like literally not capable of communing with anyone else. So just think about what you're asking before you ask things. But generally speaking, when you become a Christian, there is an enlightenment that takes place. That's not unassuming to the person who has become saved and has literally never had it in their lives, and they can tell the difference. And I always wondered, like, kind of like, why do we keep this part of it secret? Like, I don't know. We have other people who tell us how to reach the lost and how to say certain things to people. And, we want to do the formula and we want it to work. And so we like do what people tell us to do and say how people tell us to say. And we don't really, it is its own thing. Like, you don't have to like do that. It's like, oh, what if I do this out of order? Oh, well, I don't know. It's like, as long as you know it well enough to improvise it and explain it, I don't know. There's just certain parts of it that are kind of cool. And I don't know. It's like I don't see a lot of people talking about how cool it is. I see people just trying to get people involved in it, and you want them to think it's cool. It's like, well, I don't care if they think it's cool. Um, if they don't think it's cool, they're probably not supposed to be in the thing. Like, anyways, you probably don't even know what I'm talking about. But so anyway, back to my thing, my original point of me making this video, which is the analogy. Um, so the way that I kind of look through this thing is like everyone. The Bible says that everyone has everybody understands right and wrong already. People know good and evil. Everyone has a conscience. People like to say, oh, well, there's different traditions across whatever. I think I talked about that before. It's like, oh, there's different customs of this and that across cultures. Yeah, but for the most part, murder bad, lying bad, stealing bad. And a lot of that is just because, um, for society to function, for humans to function, it's just like we're just not designed to function well or at all with things being evil. So, a couple people, even the people that do well under it and can thrive under it because they are themselves evil, their bodies, like, it takes a toll on them because they are not made to do that. So that's when they need your blood, and they need this person's that, and they need money, and they need all this stuff because they're not designed to do it, and they need some other way to survive on their evil diet. Anyways, so that to me is like the way that we know that cards, we've got different suits, and then we've got the cards that go from two to ace, or ace to king, or however you want to say that. And we know that three is better than two, and four is better than three, and five is better than four. Everyone in the world sort of has knows that lower numbers are lower and higher numbers are higher. And that's kind of like where we are with the right and wrong, and where most people, and that works for a lot of things. That works for a lot of things. And then every once in a while, you'll have somebody, whether they are a Christian or, just a wise person or whatever, and they can tell you that the ace is high, but sometimes it's low. Sometimes it's the lowest card, and sometimes it's the highest card. And it's like, what? It's like mind blowing. It's like, how can it both be high and low? And that's about as far as people want to go with how spiritually want to be about stuff. But for the most part, they understand 10 is good, 3 bad. But when you become a Christian, when you get saved, you instantly get ushered into this knowledge. And it's not even like, which sounds like super Illuminati, but it's really not. It's freely given, but you have to, it's freely given, open and honest, like come get it. But you have to value it and think that there's something, whatever. And if a million people have told you that it's just this and that, and it's just, they dismiss it and they say it's just used to control people and this and that or whatever. Whatever they have to say to discourage you, and like, look at those people over there, they're all crazy, and they all, they wear freaking their pants up to their whatever, and they're all nerdy and stupid. Like, and part of that's true. I'm not even gonna say that, like, yeah, there's people in there's Christian people who are, in all echelons of society, but by and large, you're just gonna be a little kooky, a little bit. You're gonna be like this. You're gonna be on YouTube in your robe without your fancy light and your freaking head thing on your head, and people are gonna be like, "Has she lost her mind? Is she on drugs? Like, what is she? How does she not care?" And it's like, once you get ushered into what's really going on, like there's your things start to move. Once you realize, like, it's not just about two through the king, and you're just trying to get as high as you can get. Okay, so before I get ahead of myself, so basically, when you receive the Holy Spirit, it's like your eyes are opened. It's not so much like, let me give you this secret knowledge. It's like your eyes are open and you realize, like, oh, this is a poker game. It's a poker game. Like, this is poker. Like, which everyone kind, it's like, it's not that everyone, it's not, okay, everyone knows that it's poker. Let me just get my analogy back on track here. So, by and large, everyone has the knowledge that two is low, king is high. This is a poker game. You get your hand, I like Texas Hold'em. So you get your two cards, and it's a two and a three. And you're like, well, what am I going to do with this? It's a two and a three. And you're already down on your whatever. And, the river is like life. And then your cards, the hand that you're dealt is the hand that you're dealt. And like the river is like the course of life. It's like, um, can I help you? Did you need this?
Paul ate all of it. It was like
Was
right
it
up.
yours?
Yes. It was like right here, and I was way down here.
Does he have his own?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Did he eat it?
Yeah.
He ate his and yours.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll talk to him when I'm done. Who gave you candy, first of all? Was it Nina?
Yeah. It was in my bag.
Of course.
It was in my bag.
Okay. Well, I'll deal with it later. Please close my door. Guess who gave him candy for Christmas? So, anyways, so life is a poker game. Everyone knows it, but as far as anyone knows, it's rigged. It's random. It's, um, you know, if you have the aces, you're gonna win. If you have the twos, you're gonna lose. If you're in the middle, you're just whatever. And you're just dealt with what you're dealt with. And it's random. God's not in charge of it because why? How come some people get this? How come some people get that? So then when you get the Holy Spirit, it's like you get the rules. You get the rules of the game that you have been playing your entire life. You get the rules. You already know how it works. All you know is when you get that high hand, it's going to be good for you. When you get that low hand, sometimes you get the low hand and you're just like, what? What just happened? Like something good happened. Like you won. You're like, how did that happen? So you know when you get the rules that they are the real. They're like, this is it. This is it. Because you've gone through life not knowing it. And then when you're given the rules, two pair beats high card, or one pair beats high card, two pairs beat one pair, three of a kind beats pairs. Like you go, oh my gosh. So, first of all, you're so excited about that. Now, but yeah, you are going to look really, really weird to other people because, especially when you've got, I mean, this doesn't really factor in the devil, but he knows the rules too. And so, when you have somebody who's trying to sabotage the whole thing and he knows that you don't know the rules, that's why he doesn't want you to become a Christian, because you'll know exactly like he's just full of garbage. Because then he'll get people like all riled up about like they're just giving you twos, like you don't have to sit here and take that. Now anybody that knows the rules knows that two is not bad. Like if I got two pocket twos, I'm not throwing them things away. Like some people are throwing away their pocket twos because they think it's garbage. And it's like, bro, and like God will say, listen, just give me all your low cards. And everybody goes, you're an idiot. Like, yeah, no, take them, whatever. And God will win the game. And everybody's like, how did that happen? It's like, you don't know the rules. And you thought that you were giving away something that was worthless and it was valuable because you don't understand what's valuable. Like, and who's to say what's valuable? It's like, sis, this is a game. This is what it is. When your thing comes in, you're not saying who's to say then. When you're declared the winner, one of the rounds, you don't go, oh, well, am I really a winner? Is it subjective? No, you only do that when you've been losing a bunch of times. Now you want to come up with a new type of game that doesn't have to go on these traditional whatever. But I guarantee you, as soon as that you get that royal flush, you're gonna want to be back holy again. You're gonna be back. You want to be back in the will. Anyways, so it's like it's like Jesus came to the earth with pocket twos, and then the river came and it was four twos. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that's what it is. It's like that's what I see. And then like, the Christians will be like, people will just be all flashy about like, oh look, I got like two jacks and blah blah blah, and like the river, it's garbage. It's like you thought that was like royal. You was just full of royals, and it was garbage. Like that's only one part of it. What you have in your hand is only one part of it, and yeah, you might have two high pairs. I've got three fours. I beat you. I beat you. So, like when God says, like be humble and be lowly and this and that, and you just think, well, this just gonna make it possible for you to be seen. It's like, yeah, it is. Yeah, it will be. But like, so what? There's like so many other ways to win besides getting the high card high, the tie. High card is the lowest. Your high card is the lowest thing to beat. So people are just they're looking at things on the outside, and that's something. It's not like it's nothing. Yes, these cards have values and they go in an order. And yeah, if we're down to to I have three of a kind and you have three of a kind and my three of a kind is higher than your three of a kind, that's when it starts to get sucky and that's when you want to just give up because it's like, you know what? Oh, forget it. Just forget it. Like, oh, you beat me by one, I have threes and you have fours. That's not fair. It's like, no, it is fair. But it's like there's a mixture of just kind of this. I mean, yes, I know it's a game, but there's a mixture of luck, not really luck, but it's like um, the lawfulness of the numbers being this number is higher than your number, the superiority in the numbers, but then it's like the amount that you have and the order that they come in, the suit that they're in, like all of these other things can influence that. So it makes it so that just because you have high cards, it's not really it's not just fairness, it's not just luck, it's not just skill. And yeah, you can bluff. There's bluffing involved. Sometimes you got, don't let God come down and bluff you. Because that's also something that I feel like, Jesus was, the big bluff, bluffed you in the way that, made you take the pot. You're like, oh, I won. It's like, good job. Oh, he died. We won. It's like, yeah, it was a great trade. So, yeah, I in my mind it sounds cooler, but just to learn, I just remember that illumination when I understood the rules and what it wasn't just which I'm pretty sure like when you watch TV and they're just saying Full House beat that blah blah blah. I don't even think the writers of those shows even know what the freaking rules are of poker. I don't even think they take the time to look it up honestly. Um, but yeah, it's like not just hearing these terms and knowing that flush and full house and royal, whatever, and straight or all these cool terms. It's like knowing the rules and then playing it and then just seeing amazing things happen with these rules in place. Amazing games that have happened just with this set of rules. And these are man-made rules. So how much more the way that God has worked this thing out? But to be honest with you, it's really not that different. It's not that much different. It's very, very similar, which would make sense because we're made in the image of God. And another thing that I've just been like completely like has been blowing my mind. Like I watched a video like a couple of months ago, literally days ago, whatever. I watched a video a couple of days ago and maybe I'll link it below in the description box, like people are always saying, huh? Right? I can do that. But it's this video about this. I don't know. He's like speaking at a conference. He might be a scientist or a mathematician or whatever, but he's just talking about how, this math that's like, what is the name of it? It's on the tip of my tongue. Please, no, brain, don't do that thing. It's Mandelbrot, the Mandelbrot set. I think I'm saying it right, but it's like this set of numbers that's basically like he went to this whole long thing, which was really great. It's a really great setup, but basically numbers just beyond. I don't know if you knew that numbers could be like multi-dimensional, okay? But like if you know anything about imaginary numbers and then real numbers, like I don't know, that's like upper like senior in high school math if you even bothered to take a math in as a high school senior, which a lot of people did not do when I was growing up because it's like I'm graduating, I don't need no more maths. But I took math more because I thought I was going to need it. So anyway, so it's like the number line that goes from negative numbers here, positive numbers here, where there's numbers that can go up and down. Okay, just trust the mathematicians on this. Okay. And so there's this thing where there's this equation called the Mandelbrot set. And basically, now that we have computers, apparently, as soon as the computer was made, started to get some juice about it, like in the 80s, they started plugging this Mandelbrot set, these numbers into it because it's like so much computation. Like you would have to compute so many numbers to even for a pattern to emerge. But so they got the computer on it and a pattern emerged. And it's this weird, like gloopy blob thing, but it's a pattern like made with these numbers, with this equation. And so it looks just like a blobby, gloopy blob, but apparently it's like if you had a circle and then you had like the circumference, like if you had a circle moving around another circle and a circumference, like it's a perfect thing. Well, then you can like zoom in on any point of this set. And if you zoom in on it, like there's this whole other thing where it like makes loops and circles, and then the circles add up. They're like the sum of the middle thing. It's like a whole thing. Okay. If you were a math nerd, you'd be super like, oh my gosh. If you zoom in on it, it's the exact same thing. And if you zoom in on that, on a little piece of that, it's the exact same thing. And you zoom on it, so it's infinite. And so they did this with a couple different, and it's like, well, what if you solve for this, or what if you change the equation, and it would just make these patterns, right? Same thing. You zoom in on it, another pattern. Zoom in on the exact same replica. Zoom in on it, and so I have just been like thinking about this every single day since I saw that, because it just explains it all, which of course, everyone relies on math. I love how people think math is like a god-free place. Like I don't have to deal with any of this hooky looky, like shout out dad for that. All of this weird, whatever religious, I don't believe in organized religion. And then you see this Mandelbrot set and you are confronted with just pure majesty. It's beauty. Like, so then they put, they plotted it, and then they like changed all the colors like based on the numbers, and it's making these beautiful like DMT trip things. And like he's like just using the zoom in on the computer, and it's just going on infinitely, infinitely, infinitely. It's been there like since it's always it's to say it's been there. Like it just the first thing that he said was like math is conceptual. It's not real. It's conceptual. If I write a 3 down and then erase the 3, I have not gotten rid of 3. 3 is not gone because I've erased the 3 off of this page, and now we have to just go 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. It's a concept. Whose concept is it? Is it ours? Did we make math? No, that's impossible. We discovered math. I mean, this world is like, we can't make anything here. We have to discover it so that we can not die, right? So, so math is a concept that we discovered. And who made it? Like to say that, like you can't say that it just spontaneously, it wouldn't have spontaneously whatever. It's like it's the amount of intelligence. And what I love about it is like, oh, this is intelligence. And it's not just intelligence. It is intelligence, yes. But people, I love how people sort of they don't think about, they don't see like the adherence to the math is what's causing that. Essentially, you're treating math as holy, and you're not just saying, well, what if 2 plus 2 equaled 5? Which we've never needed to do that in the history of ever. And the fact that it's even being discussed now, like that's like now we're breaking down. Now the molecules in your body are breaking down. The molecules in the body of this thing are breaking down when we start saying that we can do that and trying to do that. Because when you stay true to the math, like I was talking about with the poker, it's like 2 is a low number, king is the highest. But sometimes what I find funny is like when people want it to be like that, it's like no, anybody can. It doesn't, that doesn't limit you. People want to be limited, and then when it's limited, it's like no, 3s don't beat 4s, 4s beat 3s. Now you want it to be no. What if 3 is more than 4? It's like it's just you would be surprised how many things are bad just because we want it the opposite way that it is. We want it when it's good, we want it bad. When it's bad, we want it good. And we're willing to take We want the good, but we don't want any of the bad. Like, you'd be surprised how many problems are just those two things about us. But like, so when you have math and you can start to when these are the principles of math, these are the numbers. Now you can add them, you can subtract them, you can multiply them together. You can start to build with it when you keep it the same and change it not. So it's like, to me, it was like this extreme adherence to math that they engaged in. And they just started, like, they were just going deeper into this math to the point where they're making new dimensions of high and low with these, while keeping it all coherent. Not coherent, because I mean, that's debatable, but keeping it all the same, not changing any of the underlining principles of what it is to be math. Building it, now they're building theoretical things. Well, what if I is a negative number and I times it and then I do the root, and then you get this other number line? Who's there? God, waiting on you. Zoom in on a little part of it. Oh, it's an infinite piece. That's a replica of the whole thing. Zoom in on that same thing. Zoom in on that same thing. It's like God's like, what's up? Like, they did so much math, and they got the computer and they plugged in what they knew was true, and they told the computer, just do this, don't change at all, do this on a constant basis. Guess what they found? God. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and God knows that we can't, the amount of minds and technology that had to get the math to that place that we could observe it while we're all on the earth together in our lifetime, to do that. Like, he knows that we can't, that's we get to enjoy that. I get to enjoy fractals because of technology, right? So he'll just come and talk to us. Like, I know that you struggle with Jesus on a cross and blood and sacrifice, and what does that have to do with anything? I don't know, but he's the guy. So, deal with that later. Like, it's very much like this Mandelbrot said. It's like, well, why is it like that? I don't know, but you got to plug in this for this to get that. You have to discover it. You don't get to say, well, why? You didn't build it. And like, there was a really great quote about it too, because it was like, there was a scientist who's like a theoretical scientist or something. I don't know. I just made that up. I don't know what his credentials were, but basically what he had to say about it was like, it's amazing that it exists, and it's amazing that we can discern it. And that was basically all he had to say about it, because he's probably an atheist, but like, he didn't have to answer that question. It's not his job. So he was just like, it's a miracle, is what he said. He was like, it's a miracle that this exists. It's a miracle that we can actually, conceive of it and see that it's here and discern it. And it's like, this is literally like Genesis 1. Like, because when you are the intelligence that made it, all you have to do is just say, I made this, do this. Like, it doesn't have to be like, the only reason why we need a crap ton of explanations is because y'all. Like that Mandelbrot said, was because y'all needed an explanation. It's literally the same as like what the kids are learning in Sunday school. It's mind blowing. But like, I'm also like, I'm learning like how much of math is like the essence of I don't know, it just smacks of what we're doing on earth, because like, even taking the kids through like homeschool, and like, you know both my son and daughter they're both really good at math, actually. And like, I, to the point where they're doing on the same grade, even though she's a grade behind, and she's getting it. Like, she's getting it in places he's not getting it, but she's a little bit slower because she is one grade lower than him. But like, it's really funny, like teaching it to them, because I'm just like, okay, so like, they're trying to learn time, and that was really, I was like, okay, how am I going to explain this? But it was like, they're learning to tell time on a clock that they're never going to use the analog, whatever. But I'm like, no, it's good for your brain. And then it's like, okay, a quarter of an hour is not 25. A quarter of an hour is 15 because of an hour is this much. And like, just like, I'm like, oh, this is super complex, dude. Like, no wonder we're having to learn this in chunks in school because it's like, I mean, I always got it like, it's not like I was like good at math, but it's like the relationship between things. So it's like, oh my gosh, one quarter is 0.25, which is also this, which is also that. Like, and just when you start to see like how everything is, like I'll go on a tangent with them and they're just like, and I'm like, okay, just you don't have to remember any of that. I'm just saying, like, it's all connected, guys. And like, just how they'll, if they're doing good in it, then they're like, I'm doing, oh yeah, I got this math. And then it gets a little more complicated and they're just like, they want to quit. It's so interesting. It's like, dude, yeah, this is math is taking them through like the journey of life, like this learning of the math. It's doing something to their brain that's like making it like, wait, there's more. Oh God, there's more on top of that. Like, and it's testing their ability to like be like to add more concepts to, you know, it's like I don't want to add any more. I've got this is enough. Like I don't want to add any more and like to like it's really really interesting. It's like wow, this is exactly like life. Like you're going through the whole thing of like the super cocky period where you're like, oh yeah, I know my, you know, I can subtract this from that, and then it's like, oh my gosh, borrowing, what is that? I don't care anymore. And then it's just like they get super defensive, and it's like, who cares? None of this matters anyway. It's just like so funny. But yeah, so that's my long rant about whatever I was ranting about, and I feel good about that one. I actually don't like. I'll be surprised if anybody's watching this, but I literally like completely lost track of time and just wasn't even thinking about like what I was saying and just was talking. So um, we'll see what that even does. But okay, y'all enjoy your post Christmas whatever. I can smell my leftovers cooking. I should probably go do something about that. So bye, bless y'all.